Hey, folks, welcome to another weekend edition of What's Going On, The Experience here on Fox Sports 1280 in Rochester, New York. And, this is how we do it. I got my man, Greg Vaughn, down in Las Vegas. What up, L? What up, GV?
What's
23.
happening? What's happening, Nate? How are you?
Hey, man, I
Early,
can't
top of the
call it.
morning
I
to
don't
you.
want to spoil it. And then I got my man, Ryan, Hampton Rye. What up, Hampton Rye?
Hey, it's good to be here, man. Just celebrating the grand opening of Zoe Private Club and ready to talk some football.
So we're gonna talk football first, and we're gonna talk basketball. I mean baseball. What do you guys want? I'm gonna give you all a toss up. What do you want to talk about first?
Oh,
Baseball, or
let's
you want
start.
to talk about football?
No, football, man. If you're not excited about this weekend,
Okay,
it's
okay, okay,
crazy.
okay, okay. Then I'm gonna do this. Calm down, college football fans, because Arch Manning is not Peyton Manning, or not even Eli Manning, for that matter, right now, Arch. So with that being said, Arch, and all the football guys, give the guy a chance to breathe a little bit. Get a little, because last year he should have been good, but they ain't give him the shot. So now the rain is on him, Greg. So he looked like doo doo last week, because he did. It's only the first game. So Greg, what do you think Arch Manning? Because you can't play in your uncle's shoes, bruh, and your granddaddy's shoes, bruh. You got to be your own Manning. Can he be his own Manning, Greg?
I think so. I think from everything I hear about the kid, I don't know. I think I don't know him. They say he's pretty humble. You know what I mean? He interacts with his guys. His teammates love him. You know what I mean? So he's not one of those guys that walks around like he's too good for everybody, or he's not. It doesn't seem like he's living off the last name, but you're right. Last week was not definitely not the number one pick of this year's draft. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I mean, it's going to take some time. And then two, his first start, and then you're in Ohio State. You're playing against one of the best defenses in the country. You know, uh, it's I think he's just going to have to be Arch and not try to be Peyton and Eli, and I think
There
that'll be
you
good
go.
enough. You know what I mean? I think will we see him in the NFL for sure? But I think it's sort of hard to throw out the first pick already before they even play the game. So with that being said, there's a lot of football. Can we get some love from our Hurricanes though? Us convicts? Can you get some
Oh,
love for
oh,
us
oh, oh,
convicts?
you Trump convicts. You mean you got
Eh,
you,
we're convicts, and
hold on,
we be
before we get there, Greg, I got to go to Ryan right quick and get his viewpoint on Arch Manning and how they're set, because I think they're setting the dude up too much for me, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, look, anybody that's that hyped up and that has to fill those shoes is already, they have the cards stacked against them. We talk about the
Right.
difference of the media of where you're playing, right? You go to the Yankees, for instance, or anywhere in New York, you face a lot more criticism and heat, and the pressure's on. So, look, yeah, was it a spectacular debut? Not at all. Like Greg said, number one pick doesn't look like it, but there's a long season ahead. And I think that when he gets comfortable in those shoes, he will be able to meet that pedigree. Because if you look at highlights and you look at him from how he's been playing before, I still think he's going to be great. I know he might not have, like you said, Ohio State's a tough defense. I still got faith in the young man.
Okay, so
And
as
plus,
we
he's mobile. He's different than you say. Be your own Manning. He is his own Manning. His skill set is a lot different than his uncle
yeah,
and
he's a
his
freak
grandfather.
athlete.
So
He's a
freak
freak
athlete.
athlete.
Okay, but does that translate though? See, freak athletes to me, does it translate? Okay, and then as you look at him, like I said, at the end of the day, he's got the nod, but let the brother get the skill set first before we anoint him the next best thing, out of college football. Okay, now
No, I
part two.
agree.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
agree with
saying,
you.
Greg, because I'm looking at the kid in Miami. What's that dude's name? The quarterback for
Oh,
the
the kid
Miami
from Georgia,
Hurricanes, huh?
Beck from
No,
Georgia,
was a kid for Florida
Carson Beck.
State.
No, he came from Georgia, Carson Beck.
Okay, so Carson Beck, he's not a bad quarterback, but he had to get out of Georgia because they was messing with his mind. So he goes to someplace else. He had a pretty decent game. I think he's going to
Where'd
be
he
a
go,
decent
Nate?
quarterback.
Hey, Nate, where'd he go? Not somewhere else. Where'd he go?
He went to the U. He went
Okay,
to
I'm
the
just making
con
sure.
artist U. That's where he went. He went to con art U. Okay. So
I'm just making sure.
Greg, you look all happy. Look at him, Ryan, because
Oh yeah,
you got
I am.
you Cam Ward bounced on you. He was very very good. So to replace Cam Ward with Carson Beck, I think y'all did something well.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't sure because like I said, the system, and he got hurt, and he was projected number one pick too. Also, you know
Yes,
what I mean.
he was.
But now these cats can stay in college for like 6 years. I think this is like his fifth or sixth year, and they're making more money than they would on a rookie deal. You know what I mean?
Heck
So
yeah.
so maturity wise, I mean, he's a different age. Coming out. Shoot, I think he's 24, 25 years old already. I could be
But
wrong.
the thing about that though, Ryan, is that when he does come out being that mature, playing that many games, I think it helps you as a quarterback when you come out and not play a lot of games in college and they throw you into the pros and then they say, oh, you're not gonna succeed. But damn, I only play like 7 games in college. But when you have some longevity, and I don't know, Ryan, was this because of COVID? People are sticking around and NIL. I think it's a combination of both.
NIL is it? I mean, it's just a different landscape now. Like it's a different college culture now. People are really watching college football, and like Greg says, you're making more money staying for your 5th year than going to your rookie year. You're going to be you're going to have a bigger spotlight. You're going to look better. It's going to help you in the draft. And he's 23 years old, Greg.
He's 23.
So
Okay.
the question is this going to keep evolving as players keep making more money? I mean, what do you guys think the impact is going to be long term on the NFL? Are we going to see great college quarterbacks stay till 25, 26?
Here's this. Check this out. Andrew Luck. Remember Andrew Luck from Stanford?
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Luck is the general manager of Stanford. Heard what I just said? General manager. Colleges, because of the NIL money, the transport portal, the movement, because of everything is going on in college sports, and particularly football and basketball, it's like professional sports. So Stanford said, how could I maximize my relationship with Andrew Luck? Now, Andrew Luck said this in the interview. He said he ain't never had no real job in his life. Straight like that. He was like, hey, whatever I'm doing because I'm trying to get it together. And I've been around people who had these real jobs because he's reached out to all these other GMs. But the college landscape, gentlemen, I'm going to toss it to you, Greg, is going to have a general manager to help manage all this other kinds of ancillary stuff that's going with these athletes who want to stay 4, 5, maybe 6 years, Greg.
Yeah, you know what, Nate, that's a good point. You look at Belichick when he went back to, college. He went to North Carolina. He took Lombardi. You know what I mean? Lombardi was a former, NFL general manager. He's the general manager of North Carolina.
Yep.
Because it's a different manager. You have to also have someone that's familiar with, like, how do you say this? Salary cap, because the NIL, I mean, you're managing funds, you're managing all of it. So I think, with that being said, you need someone with that type of experience. And then I think who's a former number one pick, smart as hell.
He's very bright.
His dad worked for the NFL. You know what I mean? So it's not like they pull some cat off the street. He knows what he's doing. You know, and also it's a good recruiting investment. It entices players to go there. You know what I mean? When you have Andrew Luck or Sacramento State with Mike Bibby, and you have Shaq. You know what I mean? Shaq's the general manager in Sac State. You know what I mean? So it's when you're talking about recruiting and you're trying to pull someone, when you have a Andrew Luck or Shaquille O'Neal or somebody like that in the room when you're talking to a kid, you know what I mean? That.
But Greg, the only way that works for me, unless the kid knows who they're talking to. See, some of these kids, I'm keeping a buck with you. I'm gonna toss to you, Ryan. They're kind of oblivious. They might see the YouTube or whatever. They might see TikTok, but they ain't know who Shaq is, other than damn Domino, other than pizza and being on TNT. I don't think they followed his career to know how dominant he was. I could be wrong, Ryan.
Maybe with Shaq, and it's an exception. I mean, if you're going to go through the archives of history, you know who Shaquille O'Neal is. And I'm still surprised that he took over as general manager of Sac State. But yeah, I mean, like Greg says, it's a whole new component, having to figure out what what payroll is going to look like. So, yeah, I mean, we're watching the evolution in front of us. We're going to have a whole bunch of Van Wilders running around at this point. 7-8 year college students.
Well, in fairness to me, I was on the 5-year train plus summer schools because they kicked me out. But so I was okay with that. I didn't even want to leave college.
Why would you want to? Why would you want to leave college? It's a blast.
Listen. The college days for me, once I figured out how to go to school and still do what I like to do, it was like the best time. And it's like, can I stay here forever? No kids, free grub, change in your pocket. And I can only imagine being an athlete with the ladies and all that other stuff. I'm just like a regular Joe enjoying my life. Okay? Just enjoying my little life, my little 4 classes a day. You know, I'm chilling. So I can only imagine. When I saw the athlete, they was getting broke off. They was getting, things that nobody else could get. So, no, college could be a very, very cool spot if you pick the right one. Greg?
Yeah, you know what? I think that's the key. I think, so many people, they get caught up in the name and, the name of the university instead of picking the right place.
Yep.
It's sort of like, we were having this conversation on the golf course yesterday. Guys get drafted and, certain teams draft a guy and they change. They don't change the system, to his playbook. You know what I mean? They make him change and he's not the same guy. You know what I mean? And I think that's the same thing that happens in college. Go to a place where you can play. I tell kids to play baseball all the time. They will find you anywhere. You can go anywhere and play baseball. As long as you're on that field, you can get better. But if you're not on the field, it's hard to get better. So, I mean, the draft is going to be the draft. And if you can play, you can play. Like I said, they will find you. But you have to go to a place where you can continually grow. You can't go to a place and, I go to Miami, or I go to Florida State.
But you ain't playing.
Vanderbilt, and I'm not playing.
You're
I'm not getting better.
playing. As a matter of fact, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about just that. It's a new high school that they're having in New York City that I want to talk to you guys about. It's pretty interesting. You're listening to What's Going On in the Experience here on Fox Sports 1280 and iHeartMedia with my man Greg V down in LV. And we got Ryan V down in NYC. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, folks, to segment 2 of What's Going On in the Experience here on Fox Sports 1280. And for all you folks who been listening to us for a long time, Greg Vaughn is here. Got my man Ryan V. We've been nominated for 4 categories in the Spin Awards. Now, you probably see what this is, Spin Awards. Well, go online, www.spinawards.com, and vote for us. Vote for us, because we'll set you free. Okay? And I got to go down next month in October to accept one of those awards, Greg and Ryan, because I believe we're going to win one of them bad boys. Look, Greg, the average is we're in 4, but every category like 20 people. Plus we're at the end, so what's going on, W. So you got to find us and vote for us. The Spin Awards, we've been nominated. We've been doing this a long time, and I really appreciate the nomination from my man Eric Verneuille, a.k.a. E-Man. Shout out to E-Man. He's been in the show at the beginning that we started this bad boy, so thanks for putting our names in the hat, Eric. We appreciate you. But speaking names in the hat, in 2 weeks, I want to say 2 weeks, September 27th, maybe 3 weeks, we're going to have the HBCU Frederick Douglass Football Classic 2025 version, sponsored by Baldwin Richardson Foods. And this year's combatants will be Central State versus Lane College at the Rochester Community Sports Complex. 1 p.m. tickets are $25. And speaking of tickets, we've got 2 to give away. So if you go to Ryan, what do you want them to go, Ryan? Instagram, Facebook? What you want them to do to get these tickets?
I'd say the best move is to go to our Instagram, What's Going On Sports, or, of course, go to our website, foxsportsradiowgo.com.
And then reach out. Who's ever listening, we take the first people. I got 2 tickets for you. I'll tell you where to come pick them up at my office for that day. That's on the 27th. And now on the 25th, that Thursday, they got the HBCU College Expo, Greg, which is it. They got 25 colleges throughout the country coming to this event. In New York City, just put together their first high school college for HBCU recruiting. That's kind of deep. First
No,
of
it
all, a
is.
lot of men ain't in college. If I was a young brother again, I'd be in school. That's where the women are. I don't know what these dudes are doing. I don't know what they doing, because they say women is in the schools, player. Schools and churches. What the heck? I guess guys ain't as masculine like we used to be, fellas. I don't know what's going on. They wanted to wear dresses. I look around. I see my man. What's the boy name? Will Smith's son. He's so damn confused. The boy got a dress on. I don't know. All I'm saying is this. Go to college, man. I found my wife there. She probably wished that I wasn't there now, but hell, too late. 2 babies in.
You might find your wife, your mistress, and your
Yeah.
side chick at college.
And your side
if you
chick.
really get
And
lucky.
don't go to HBCU, because it's like, Greg will tell you, even though we at the U, his behind was at FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. Look at his face. I can tell already. Look at his face. Greg,
Nothing like the classic. Nothing like the classic. Nothing like the classic.
the Bayou Classic, am I right?
There's nothing like the classic. You're right.
So I'm just saying, man, well, I like to encourage folks, have a good time. So like I said, the College Expo is the 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Brought to you by the National College Resource Foundation at the Blue Cross Arena. Okay, and once again, just come on out. If you're a young person, your school, come out and have a good time. Like I said, man, spend 4 or 5 years in college. Figure out what you want to do. And just, y'all can use AI now, so it ain't as bad. We couldn't use none of that stuff. We have to go to the books, go to the encyclopedias. But speaking of going to encyclopedias, I don't know about y'all. Did y'all see the game the other day with Kansas City?
That's last. Yes.
Yeah, Greg, they're done. I know it's the first game, Greg. I know it's the first game. I know Patrick Mahomes is the man. Even Andy Reid limping out of the damn tunnel. Andy Reid, I think this is last year too, personally. I think this is Andy Reid's last year coaching. I can look at his face and tell.
Let's hope not.
The Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to toss to you, Greg. They just don't look like, and I know that they're not the same Chiefs. Don't get me wrong, that won the Super Bowls. Because you said it a long time ago, all teams change and evolve. But they don't have the swagger no more, Greg.
Yeah, I think, and we see this more and more. Excuse me, that when you don't play a lot, you don't get the reps. Like Harbaugh's old school. So you got Herbert out there. He's getting the reps. He's getting the reps. He's running reps. You're getting game speed. You sort of protect your vets. It's like Andy Reid comes from that Bill Walsh. Where the veterans. You take care of your vets because you want them for during the season. But I think we've seen this time and time again because these guys aren't getting game reps during preseason, right? Now suddenly they jump in the game and expect everything to click. It takes a while. Are they the same? No, they'll be there. But it's funny right here. You see right there.
Mm-hmm.
I picked them. It was 11.5 was the over under on their wins. I took the under. You know what I mean? I took under 11.5. For them to. It's so hard to win in the NFL first. Second, everyone else,
got
free
better.
agency, everyone's getting better. You know what I mean? It's it's just one of those things where any given Sunday, you remember that saying, any given Sunday, you can get yours. And it's funny because I'm in that another survivor pool. I used the Eagles, on Thursday night. You know what I mean? For one, I need another one for tomorrow, and I don't even know who to pick because on any given Sunday, you can be beat. And the thing about it is, in this survivor pool, you have to save the teams for Thanksgiving and Christmas. If you don't have a team on Thanksgiving and Christmas, you automatically lose.
Okay.
So you can only pick certain teams, right? So right now, I'm searching for that second team.
Well,
but
I'm gonna toss to Ryan because I'm gonna say this to you, Ryan. I like your Giants. I really,
like him.
I can't wait to see the Giants Dallas game. We will come back to Dallas and the spitting incident in a second. But I like your Giants, and I think the Giants gonna make a little bit of noise, right?
I'd like to think so. As much as, Russell Wilson's getting up there, wasn't the same Russell Wilson, obviously, but as long as he can mentor Jackson Dart, I really do
Mhm.
think that we have a future star quarterback of the New York Giants with Jackson Dart. And the way that he beat out Jameis, I thought for sure he'd be QB3 and we'd be going back and forth between Russell
Mhm.
Wilson and Jameis Winston. It really depends on the health of a lot of our defense. Like for instance, Andrew Thomas, extremely important, doubtful for week 1. Um, Malik Neighbors going into his second year. That's a huge component to how
Mhm.
this team does. And they're not ranked the highest overall. I know there's a lot in New York, there's a lot of hype just because it looks like we have somebody good as quarterback. And after our experience over the past few years, it's been very traumatic. Um, I don't. I think I made the prediction that maybe last week or the week before on the show. I believe we're probably going to have a 7 or 8 win season. I'm excited. Look, the expectations aren't set that high. If we make the playoffs, great. We see Dallas took a step back, but it's hard for me to be optimistic when I'm watching Saquon Barkley on the Philadelphia Eagles dominating the way he is. The Eagles dominating the way they are. We now have the Reds or the Commanders playing the way that they are. So as high hopes as we have here for the Giants in New York, I do worry that it might not be as fruitful as a
Okay.
lot of the people are hyping them up to be.
I'm gonna turn to my athlete for a second. Okay, so as I said before, the spitting incident. First of all, that's why I've never been. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Never been a Barkley fan. Never, never, ever, ever. And if he's listening to this broadcast, Barkley, I'm sorry, Chuck. You and Carl Malone are in the same category for me, my brother. A little less than Malone, but you spat on somebody, and it was a daggone fan. You spat on a fan. That was some ugly. Because my parents told me never to spit on anybody.
Well,
So
what did they
Chuck,
say to Charles Barkley in the defense of Charles Barkley? What did that
no,
fan say to Charles
I don't
Barkley?
care. I don't care. You getting paid $1,000,000. He can call you the N word. You say you ain't supposed to do nothing. How many
No,
times
he
Bill
can't.
Russell got called the N word?
If I was
Let me
called the
finish.
N word,
Let me
I'd spit
finish.
on somebody, and I'm
Let
white.
me finish.
I can only imagine if I was Charles Barkley.
Let me
Sorry.
finish for a second. Those arenas Bill Russell played in, Will Chamberlain played in, you think they ain't call him N word a million times? Did they go over and spit on the fans? No, they couldn't. No. So that's for Charles. So back to Dallas and Philly for a quick second. Because everybody's indicting the Philly dude. But I did see Dak Prescott honk a little something on the ground towards the guy now. That's not saying that he spat at him, but you started the stuff first. Now, the Philly guy should have been a little bit more astute because they threw him out the game and they needed him because they almost lost the game. But I'm going to the athlete who's played. If somebody spat on you, Greg Vaughn, GV23, what you doing?
Yeah, man, that's a hard one to swallow because I think that's the lowest of the low. I mean, you can't get any lower than that,
Thank
right?
you.
You can't get any lower than that. But I think Nate sometimes we grew up in a different time. These guys have been coddled too. He went from possibly being the first pick to number 10, and he's probably in the top 4 best defensive players in the league.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he's still young. He's still a baby.
He's a
He's
baby.
22, 23. I'm not making any excuses for him, but I will give him this. He came out with a heartfelt apology yesterday.
Yep.
He did, and
That's what his
said,
grandmother got in his behind.
he said, I will never, ever do this again. I'm sorry to the city of Philadelphia. I'm sorry to my teammates, ownership. And, I think that means something because he let a whole lot of people down. You know what I mean? And I think it's genuine by his apology. I think, do we give him is it acceptable? What he did? No, because there's nothing lower than that. But still, I think he's learned his lesson. I don't think it'd ever be a problem again. Or maybe that's why the other teams passed on him. They're talking about his birthday. He wasn't in shape, and he turned out to be, like I said, he's a superstar.
But
He's a
I
superstar.
think Ryan, this situation for him could be, like you said, Greg, a defining moment, Ryan, in his personal life too, not just football. Because obviously people, I mean, and I think his relatives probably like, dude, what is you embarrassing us? See, back in the day, you didn't want to do dumb stuff, Greg and Ryan, because you embarrassed your family members. It's like, girl, you got my name, boy, you got my name. What's wrong with you? So, Ryan, you think this is gonna help him down the road? And that's why I wanted my man to come on, Woody, to come on so much today, but we got to get him on. Because sportsmanship is taking a whole different thing. It's like, yo, y'all got to do better, athletes. You're getting paid tons of money, and kids, you got to do better, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a tarnish, but it's how he bounces back. And like you said, Gray, he's very apologetic. It could have done a lot worse things. Yeah, it's despicable to spit on somebody, right? He's young. I think he's going to learn his lesson. I'm sure that his agent was way more pissed than his family. But look, people make mistakes, all right? And it's about how you bounce back from them and if you repeat them. Now, if he comes back out and he's spitting on everybody, yeah, huge blemish. But, people make mistakes. I think he's going to bounce back. He's one of the great young players out there right now. So hopefully he grows from it and learns from it and, avoids this type of, maybe get some anger management or something like that. Maybe it is a little bit deeper. He's got to find some better way to control himself. But I would believe that this is eventually long-term going to hopefully be one of the only incidents like this, and he moves on just past it and continues a potentially Hall of Fame career. So
we'll see. Greg, back to the Dallas game, because Dallas could have won that game, and your man CeeDee Lamb was CeeDee Lamb chop drop. He was CeeDee Lamb chop drop. Okay, if you know who lamb chop is, you have to go way back into your childhood. But he was CeeDee Lamb chop drop. Okay, because that brother was like dropping easy passes. Okay, I even seen Dak Prescott make some serious runs. And I'm like, oh, is Dallas back? I don't know. But, Greg, I'm going to you, bro.
I don't know if they're back, but once again, it's early in the year. Jalen Hurts did what he had to do, but I mean, the timing, you look at everything. These guys aren't getting the reps. Game reps and practice reps are totally different. The speed is different. There's no contact in practice. You got these guys got to make these catches with someone ready to put a helmet on them. You know what I mean? It's a different animal. CeeDee Lamb, top 5 receiver too. You know what I mean? I put my money on CD all day long. He just had a bad night, man. You know what I mean? But I like the fact that he also said me, because so many times you see receivers, and I applaud AJ Brown for not doing, having a meltdown. Give me the ball. He didn't even get a.
He didn't throw Patrick Mahomes in the bus, because I don't know what. That's what I said. I don't understand Kansas City. Look like they threw to me. They don't even use people that they got.
Yeah, but like it's early. That Andy Reid's one of the best. They'll make adjustments. They'll come back, and I think right now the defenses are ahead because these guys haven't got game reps. It's early in the season. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Like you said, the Jets and the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers didn't play one preseason game. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's done it for 22 years or 20 years that he doesn't have to, but we'll see, man. It's different. He's in a new environment with different guys, so you don't even have that chemistry with them.
Right. How much time we got? Because I want to talk about the Bills quick. That's it.
We got to get out of here. It's past time for break, but we're good. We got commercials to run. We got 2 more great segments ahead.
All right, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about Buffalo Bills. And like I said, I think this is the changing of the guard, because that first game out is Bills Ravens. That's going to be a goodie. We'll be right back. Fox Sports 1280, iHeartMedia, What's Going On in the Experience nominated show for the Spin Awards. That's right, I said it. 2025 nominees. The 3 of us. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, we are back, and we're going to continue our football segment. What's going on in the experience here on Fox Sports 1280. And this particular segment is brought to you by the Rochester Speaker Series. That's right. David Grand, the Killer of the Flower Moon. That was a good movie, too, by the way. The book, The Wagner. He'll be October 7th. Then we got Brett Bennett, The Vanishing Half, The Mother. She'll be here April 26th. And all programs include 40 to 45 minutes talk and 15 minutes author and discussion. Where they're going to be at? Asbury First Church, 1040 East Avenue. That's why they gave us the award, folks. That's why they nominated us, because we're on Sundays and we do good things like this. So if you want to see that, check that out. And that's going to be at www.rochesterSpeakersBureau.org, www.rochesterSpeakers.org, or contact rss@rochesterSpeakersBureau.org. And remember, we're giving out tickets to the HBCU game on the 25th. On the 27th, $25 tickets, we got them right here. So we're talking football before we left, Greg, and we were talking about I guess I want to just start out with where you left with Aaron Rodgers not practicing, okay, and the rest of these guys, and they expect to get there week 1. Like, for example, should Cincinnati Bengals be better in week 1 because Joe Burrows was practicing all all off season? Am I right, Greg? Because I seen Joe Burrow play 3 or 4 preseason games.
Yeah, I think that is growth. I think they learned from, the last couple of years, these guys not playing and getting off to a slow start. You know what I mean? I think it's nothing like, I know I can't speak for football, but I know in baseball, I mean, especially that last 2 weeks, it might not be as important in the first couple of spring training games, but that last 2 weeks, you're getting 5 and 6 innings, man, because you need to get your legs underneath you. You need to see pitches. You need to get game speed. You know what I mean? So I think with football, it's even more imperative because the game is so fast and so violent, and especially you got guys changing teams. I mean, like I said, in practice, it's one thing, but to have the timing and know where your guy's going to be at in the regular season is a little bit different. When you have different defenses scheming for you. And who knows? Like I said, with Aaron, it might be maybe after 20 years he doesn't need to do it. It's evident he didn't think he needed to play. You know what I mean? But you see Joe Burrow saying, "Hey, no, he played every single preseason game." Justin Herbert played the last 3 preseason games. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where you don't have to play a lot, but you have to get out there. You know what I mean? You got guys you got new centers, you got quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends, left guard. You know what I mean? Tendencies.
Yeah.
You got to see what guys are going to do, and I think it's the money's so large right now. They're protecting their investment, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you're protecting it. But when are we going to get the return value on our investment? You
Well,
know what I mean?
you can protect it all you want, but look at the guy Worthy in the first game for Kansas City. He runs a cross route, bounces off of Travis Kelce, and he's out. His shoulder. So they can't throw to nobody. So now they got to go to Hollywood Brown and use him up. The only one. So I'm saying to you, those kind of injuries, Ryan, could just happen to you during the course of the game, not preseason. And this is the opening game the other night, Ryan.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, but in terms of Aaron Rodgers, we saw that he can miss camp and still put on a show. I know that the Jets were utter disappointment last year, but Rodgers still did his thing out there. I know there were weeks we'd come in here and bash him. I know, I see Greg making that face, but there were still moments. There were flashes of Aaron Rodgers in there, and I feel like the Steelers team is better suited for him. Yeah, would it have been nice to see him get out there and throw some snaps? But I still got faith. I think that we might see a little underrated, or I guess a better outcome than people are expecting for Rodgers and the Steelers this year. But what I'm most excited about for week 1 is Lions versus Packers.
Michael Parsons ain't even playing. You didn't get the injury.
He's still questionable. He's still
listen.
Well, last night I think he still might be
Dallas
out there.
gave him some damaged goods over there, so that's why Jerry Jones is dancing around and happy. He's like, "Yeah, I know what's going on."
He's questionable, but I still think he'll
Jerry's
manage
too
to get
happy.
out there.
You see that
the
pass
game?
rush?
The game I want to see, Greg, is the Bills Ravens, because I think whoever wins that game, to me, is heir apparent for the AFC. That's just me.
Yeah, once again, I think these teams, and they're so analytically driven now with the passing game, that if teams just ran the ball, like Baltimore's going to run the ball. Baltimore's going to take some of that pressure off Lamar, and then he's going to be able to do his thing. These teams come out 5 wide, and I don't get it. How about wearing the team down and taking some of the pressure off, especially since your quarterback hasn't played, right, in the preseason? Ease them into the flow. They come out first play of the game, 5 wide. I'm like, Jesus. You know what I mean? That you can't sustain that.
So, but
And
what I'm
you
saying,
look at
Greg, I'm not Greg, I'm Ryan, because you're a Bills fan. What do you think the Bills gonna do?
no. I think the Bills are going to be good, but I think Baltimore made some upgrades. Baltimore is going to be. This is Lamar's year. Like I said, they were one fumble in
One
the
throw,
open field,
one blown catch away, one blown by the tight
a
end,
catch and a fumble though.
and a
Andrews,
fumble.
it's not like him. Yeah, he's running free down the middle of the field, and the ball just falls out, and then he drops the ball in the end zone. So, people say Lamar can't win the big one. I mean, Lamar put him in position. We wouldn't even be talking about the Ravens without Lamar. So,
That's true.
I think, I think it's going to be. I wouldn't pass the torch so quick to Buffalo. I think it's going to be.
No, I'm not past. I'm just saying. I think that first game, Ryan, between the Bills and the Ravens is going to speak volume just for me because, like I said, I know it's game. I know it's only the first game, but you know the Let's Go Buffalo fanatics. You know the Bills Mafia. You know how they are. The Bills Mafia. I like to see the Bills Mafia versus the Dallas Cowboys fans in the ring. That would be a great battle. Bills Mafia versus Cowboy fans.
No, the Mafia would kill them.
Kill him, crush him. Wouldn't even be close, Nate.
Cowboy fans are too pretty. They're pretty, and they're all about their life. Yeah,
okay.
they just ran their mouth.
Well, this is the last home opener that's ever going to be played at the stadium, right? Is it, or if I'm not mistaken?
They trying to get a new stadium. As a matter of fact, they got $5 tickets they're going to be doing this season, Greg, for the Buffalo Bills. You got to write into something. You got to write in to get the $5 ticket, but they got $5 tickets, right?
You already can't get a ticket.
Okay, and just as we wrap up, I think the Pagula girl is playing in the tennis, so I think she's doing well. I think she might be in the finals or the semifinals.
No, I think she was in the semifinals. She got knocked out, so now we have a rematch of the Masters.
Okay. Hey, man, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to talk baseball. Because that's why, got my man, Greg Vaughn here. 23, 50, 55 homers. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, we're back for our final segment. And, of course, it's baseball. And this is what's going on Fox Sports 1280 and iHeartMedia Group. And I got my man, Ryan V. and Greg Vaughn. Now, Greg, let's chop it up on the baseball thing. I got 8 or 9 minutes. So, you just want to get in the tournament, right? That's what you just want to do because you always say that. Get in the tournament. But right now, my man, how good are the Toronto Blue Jays? Because they're holding off the Yankees by about 4 or 5 games. And my Mets, they can't get over the hump with trying to track down Philly. They down like 6 games, and they're the 3rd team in the playoffs. So, Greg, let's start with the Yankees, man. Can they make a good run? I mean, let's talk about it.
I think they can make a run. Toronto's playing, they're playing good. Like I said, having the first wild card is not a bad spot either. You know what I mean? I think, you just want, to be healthy. I think when it comes into the playoffs, you just want to have everybody clicking and be on the same page and be healthy. Okay. I think once you get in, whether you're the 1 or the 2, doesn't really matter except home field advantage. But the Yankees have so many veterans. They've been doing this long enough. Whether they play on the road or not, there's a lot worse places to be playing than Toronto. It's not like going to Philly or Chicago or Boston. You know what I mean? Toronto's pretty easy to play on the road. So
they're so nice. The Canadians are so nice.
Yeah, right. They are nice. Okay. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, look at the Royals. Look at the run the Royals are making right now, man. Yep. I mean, for me, I'm scared of that young. We don't have anything to lose blood. We're playing with house money.
Bobby Witt Jr. knows that.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Astros. They jumped the Mariners. This is what the Astros do every single year. You know what I mean? So it's a good time to be a baseball fan. You know what I mean? Be a sports fan. Period. And, you have baseball, you got college football, and you got NFL. and you got WNBA playoffs getting ready to start. It's a good time to be a sports fan. I think. With that being said, I think the Yankees, the Mets going to have a little bit of work to do. You know what I mean? You just haven't seen that consistency, right?
Okay,
They
so
get hot. They
dude,
get hot for 5. They get hot for 5. Then they lose 9.
here's the deal. I'm watching the other night. Right, they playing Cincinnati because they're ahead of Cincinnati in the wild card. Right? I think they're like 5 games. So this is the Mets scenario. They up 5-1. Next thing you know, the score is 5-4. Then they roll out my man Edwin Diaz. And this is how you get a heart attack during during baseball season with your team. He loads the bases. It's 5-4 now. Loads the bases, no outs. He struck out, I guess, the next couple of guys, and then the guy flies out. The Mets squeak out a 5-4 victory. But the Mets have been doing this kind of junk all season. Greg, you said it. Their lack of being consistent. Yeah, you're going to lose some games. Yeah, but the way they have been doing this, okay, and I guess, okay, Ryan, in fairness to you, Juan Nono is starting to play like Juan Soto, okay? Because I called him Juan Nono the whole season, Ryan, and you're like, Nate, chill.
I know, your best player. I figures that's a typical Nate move.
Okay. And I would be lit with Juan Soto.
Nate is Six Flags all day long.
Nigga, come on.
He's good. He's like this. With a bat, he's going straight down here. Yeah. So.
So,
man. Well, I want to give a quick shout out here because the Major League Baseball family lost a great Met, Davey Johnson.
Yes,
just passed away.
That's the manager, man.
That's right. That led the Mets to the World Series
in '86.
Yeah, sad stuff.
Yeah, Davey was a good manager too, and I know you knew him, Greg.
Yeah. I mean, great manager, great man. You know what I mean? I think he was a good baseball man. That's the difference. Not a computer guy, not an analytic guy, a baseball man. He knew how to relate and communicate to his players. He knew how to put guys in situations to succeed. Now you have a computer and you have guys upstairs telling you who's going to play, who's going to sit. The manager basically does nothing. I shouldn't say does nothing, but a lot of it comes from upstairs, but the good teams, they find a way to have a baseball man that still has some input. You know what I mean?
And that's why I'm looking at the Cincinnati Reds, they got Terry Francona, and he is a baseball man. And I'm watching him. Forget the analytics. He got his paper, Ryan, looking at his paper saying, all right, dude, I got to get this guy out the game. So I think those guys are dinosaurs because of the whole analytics situation. But, Davey Johnson was a very, very good manager. The Mets really had a good run with him, and he will definitely be missed. But at the end of the day, fellas, I just want to say thanks for another weekend. And
how about my
great
Brewers
time.
And my Padres? How about my Brewers, Padres, and Reds?
But
all your teams, Greg. All your teams are crushing it, man.
You can say Tampa too. Jeez, yeah.
All the teams that you left, brother, are playing good. That's because they got you there.
All the teams that got rid of me, not left. They got rid of me. You know what I mean?
Great.
Yeah,
the funny
they
thing
better give you some playoff tickets to enjoy the ride here, man.
Whatever they get, they better give you a ring. And speaking of tickets, we got tickets for the HBCU event. This inbox, Ryan, if you want to get a couple, they're $25. We're going to give them to you free. Have a great time on us. Bring your son, bring your daughter, bring your family. And if you really want to go, I might give you 4. That's how I'm like. If you got a family of 4, inbox Ryan. And I know if Greg would say he'll be right there on the 50-yard line with me. Matter of fact, you will be helping me broadcast that day, my brother, because we're covering the media lounge.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm gonna miss everybody next week because I got to give a shout out to Junior. You know what I mean?
Yes.
My son's getting married next Saturday, so I'm gonna miss you guys, and I know you guys will keep it going, and I'll be back the following Saturday.
Hey man,
congrats to Junior, man. It's a beautiful thing. Love is still out there, everybody.
Ryan, take us out.
Don't give up on love yet. It's still out there. See that? Congrats to young Vaughn Jr.
Well, that's the cool thing, and you guys have a great time. And until next week, Ryan, what we got?
That's it. You know where to find us, folks. Fox Sports Radio, WGO.com. Go to What's Going On Sports on Instagram. Greg Vaughn 23 on Instagram, The Ryan Show, and of course, Nate Brown Jr., Fox Sports. All on IG. Follow us there.
All on IG. And don't forget, man, vote. 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 I know I might not look like it is, but vote, man. We on Sundays. That's why they got us on. It's a gospel award, like, because Ryan goes, why they us a gospel? I said, because we're on the show.
I love it. Hallelujah, baby. Vote. I'm going on right now. I'm voting 10 times. I'm bringing that vote to church with me tomorrow. Let's go.
Come on. Until next week, folks, this is Nate Brown Jr., Ryan V., Greg Vaughn, number 23, and if God spares all our lives, we'll be back. Peace. See ya.